The skyways just to get lost. I pass so many places, but won't break, 'cause I can't break your heart. Driving to the door, call you from the station, leaving you a message that I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm gone, gone, I'm gone, gone. Seasons change so fast. They don't last, and the leaves always fall. Today is a new day, and there's a clear way, and the road is long. Driving to the door, call you from the station, leaving you a message that I'm gone. I'm keeping on. I'm keeping on. I'm keeping on. Driving to the door, call you from the station, leaving you a message that I'm gone. Driving to the door, call you from the station, leaving you a message that I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm gone, that I'm gone, that I'm gone.
Hey everyone, welcome and thank you for joining us today. It's great to see so many of you here. We know everyone's busy, so the fact you've chosen to spend the next hour here says a lot, and our goal is to make sure it's genuinely valuable for you. Now, the session you're about to experience is called Win Clients on LinkedIn. And if you're anything like many of the professionals we speak with, you probably already know LinkedIn should be one of the most powerful places to generate new business. You may already have a good profile, you might be posting content, but despite all that, LinkedIn still isn't producing the clients it should. That's exactly why today's session exists. The expert who will be walking you through this today is James Mason. James is the founder of the 5X LinkedIn Growth System, and over the last decade, he has helped businesses around the world turn LinkedIn into predictable clients. He has personally trained over 18,000 professionals, and the frameworks he'll be sharing today are the same ones used across hundreds of brands to identify decision makers, start conversations, and turn LinkedIn into a reliable source of new clients. Towards the end of today's session, we'll be announcing something that we're very excited about. And with that, please join me in welcoming James Mason.
Hey everyone, James Mason here. Thank you, Adam, for the kind introduction, and I'm excited to welcome you to the Winning Clients on LinkedIn. I know many of you have been waiting many weeks for this, and I'm excited to deliver today. Now, first and foremost, I just want to make sure that you guys can see and hear me. So please type 1 in the chat to let me know that you can see and hear me. Fantastic. I can see some of you already. Great. Now, whilst you're in the chat, please share with me where you're joining from. We always like to see where everyone's coming from, and we typically have people from all around the world, which is amazing to see, and it's always great to know where you guys are coming from. And lastly, I know today's session is free, so it's very easy to kind of put me on the side, listen to this in the background whilst you work. Today, I want to share with you something different. Many of these events in this industry, and if you've joined many workshops before, you probably know you're going to sit here for an hour or 90 minutes and take a few key things away. Today's session's not going to be that. We're going to absolutely show you everything that is possible on LinkedIn. You're going to take away a ton. So in order to kind of share that with you, one thing I feel is very worthy is to actually consider what a client is worth to you, potentially even times it by 3. Now, if you feel comfortable enough, please share in the chat what a client is worth to you. Always like to see the different types of industries we have. But more importantly, if you're not willing to share that out loud in the chat, please say it out loud. Perhaps literally say it out loud to yourself, or write it in front of you. And what I'm going to recommend to do, and I will be personally doing this throughout today's session, in order to stay focused on the slides, I'm actually going to minimize the chat. You can do this by clicking the button in the top right. You can always open it again, and this just allows you to stay focused on what we're sharing. If you imagine, every message that you read in the chat is another second that you're not focusing on how you can improve your business. That being said, if everyone's ready to get going, let's jump straight into it. Great. Now, today, as promised, on the build up to this, I'm going to share with you 3 key things. First, why you're not winning clients. What are you currently doing that's harming your current success? You're visible, but you're not converting. I'm going to share with you why that is. 2, how to find your perfect clients, the ones that already need what you have to offer. We're going to show you how to locate demand on LinkedIn. And then 3, we're going to show you how to turn them into email leads and clients, and using this as a system to be able to do it again and again and again, even potentially with automation. Now, that's what you're going to get in the next 60 minutes. But before we can talk about winning clients on LinkedIn, let me just show you how we got here. You see, none of this actually started with LinkedIn. A decade ago, my father and I built a social media marketing agency. We offered funnels, campaigns, paid ads. It was fantastic to work with him. Unbelievable. And the agency grew. 2016, we launched. By year 2, we had 100 clients a month coming in. And by year 5, we actually sold that company. But there was one major problem, a $120,000 problem. You see, we had one method of winning clients, which was paid ads. And many of you know this pain. When we had the ads on, the clients came in. But when the ads stopped, so did our pipeline. Anyone running ads knows this feeling. It's like renting a business. It's like you pay constantly and it always goes up in price. It's horrible. Horrible way to grow a business. That being said, then one day, an old client of ours refused to pay Facebook. And overnight, we got banned for life. Us and them. Just for being connected with them in the past. With no warning, no appeal, and no contact. We literally had 2 choices. Stop altogether or find a better way. Now, what I didn't realize was that morning would become a decade-long obsession. Literally, I sat there. I can remember the email coming in. It was like one of those things where you just know your business has this really big hole and you was like, it'll never happen. And then it did. And it was like, what are we going to do? Now, eventually, that system became a LinkedIn system. And in the last few years, that system has generated 80,000 leads, over 4,000 sales calls, and even raised $3.1 million for Alzheimer's. These are all client stats. And we now run the second largest LinkedIn lead generation event on the platform, right behind LinkedIn themselves. But enough about us. Let's talk about you. You're here for you. You're here to grow your business. I'm very aware of that. You're doing everything they told you to do. You've tried posting, you've tried commenting, you've tried connecting, you've tried messaging, you've even tried networking day after day, week after week. And still, no consistent clients, no predictable pipeline, no real momentum. But here's the worst part. You're not even sure what's actually broken. And this is what we find with a lot of the clients we work with. But now imagine instead, what if LinkedIn worked for you? Prospects discovered you, decision makers booked calls, a pipeline you could actually predict, and you're not chasing, you're definitely not posting daily, and you're no longer guessing. That's what a system would give you. And you see, I've spent the last decade building exactly this. Today, I'm going to hand you that exact playbook. At this point, if you do have a notebook or you're looking to take notes, I would highly recommend grabbing something to take notes. Okay? And the best part is most people find surprising is we did this without posting daily. We simply don't have the time to post daily, and I'm sure you don't either. Even more so, we don't send cold DMs. Nobody likes sending them, and I can promise you no one likes receiving them. And many of you here know that pain. Chasing the algorithm, right? The algorithms on these social media platforms, they change too quickly. You can't build a system that simply changes every couple of months. It's impossible to keep up with. So this system doesn't do that. It's completely evergreen. And this might surprise you the most. We did this with under 8,000 followers. You don't need a big audience. You just need the right system. Now you might be thinking, I've tried LinkedIn before and it didn't work. And I'm about to show you why. You see, here's the truth. LinkedIn wasn't the problem. Your strategy was. LinkedIn is responsible for 80% of the B2B business done online. You can even Google that stat. That's how powerful this platform is. The problem, and truly the reason I even have a career in this space, is LinkedIn does a terrible job at showing you how to use it. And here's the truth. Winning clients on LinkedIn isn't about building your own audience anymore. It's about locating demand. It's a major, major difference to how you view the platform. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what that system looks like. Does that sound good? Type yes in the chat if you're excited about that. Fantastic. I can see you guys. Oh, brilliant. Okay, cool. I'm just going to minimize that chat just for me. It's a distraction, as you can imagine, but I will open and close it as and when we need to. I'd recommend you do the same. But before I show you this system, it's absolutely crucial to your success that you understand the 4 traps that are harming you. We'll start the visibility trap. This is the most common one of them all. Many of you are going to go, yep, that's me. You see, being seen doesn't equal being paid. See, right now, you're visible on LinkedIn. You have a profile. You might have made some content, but it's not turning into profit. And just to share, I've seen founders, we work with founders with 50,000 followers, high engagement, and even years of daily content. And privately, they're also coming to us, which tells you they're not crushing it despite all those efforts. Think about how much money it would cost to have someone hired every single day to make content for you for years, and it's still not pay off. Brutal, but true. Now, here's why. Likes don't pay invoices on social. Comments don't close contracts. You see, visibility is not revenue. Intent is what pays. It's the most common mistake we see on LinkedIn. And you might be thinking, but I need to get visible to get clients. Well, of course you do. But you only need to be visible by the right decision makers that are actually going to buy. That's something you probably haven't heard from another guru, right? Carrying on. The next trap, the DM trap. See, being busy doesn't mean you're closing deals. And that's one of the most common mistakes we see. You're busy, very busy, and I appreciate you all being here. So you've tried messaging, you've tried connecting, networking, following up, and maybe even booking calls, all just to hear, I need to run this past the team. Or, most commonly, sounds good, we'll reach out later this year. Type in the chat, just here really quickly, I'll open it up. Type 1 in the chat if you've received a message like this where, the kind of someone said, hey, this sounds great, but it's not for us right now, and I have to check with the team, or I need to check internally, something like this. Great, okay. I can see that this resonates. Now, but what if the real problem isn't them? What if it isn't them? What if it wasn't your product? What if it was the person that you were actually asking? You see, what we've found over the years of working on LinkedIn is curious people are the ones that ask questions, and the decision makers are the ones that sign the contracts, which sounds really silly to say out loud, and we all know this, but we see it day to day. We have clients of ours come to us, say, hey, how should I handle this conversation? And the first thing we ask them is, who's the individual? Not how do you manage this conversation? Who is even asking? And that's how you really get down to, ultimately converting on LinkedIn, is ensuring who you're speaking with is the person in charge. See, the math is quite simple. One decision maker is worth 20 curious prospects. Now, I'm not saying curious prospects can't potentially turn into business. They can, but for how much time, energy, and effort? This is the real trick. So you might be thinking, but I can't just get to decision makers. When I make a post, everybody sees it. What if I told you you actually can? And I'm about to show you how here shortly. Next, the content trap. The advice everyone gives you in this industry is wrong. And I'm going to tell you why. So you've been told, post daily, tell your story, founder-led approach on LinkedIn, be consistent for a year. Everyone else is doing it. And you've tried it, all of it. Most of it's AI, by the way, especially today. But here's the truth. No one is telling you. Content on LinkedIn is professional entertainment. A lot of the likes you see in this space are completely false. I'm going to share with you a real secret about this space. The people that are the most popular often get likes from people in their industry, not potential clients. Next time you see a viral post, see what that potential person offers, and then see who's engaging with their content. This is the biggest tell. And this is what we see all the time. Now, if you want likes and you want social proof, that's no problem. We have techniques to find engagers, but it's not going to change your income. And that's what this session is completely focused on. Now, you might be thinking, but this famous person built their business on content. Let me just guess, like Alex Hormozi, Gary Vee, or any of these other individuals that are kind of popular right now on LinkedIn. I can share with you one thing. They are selling content. That's why they're telling you to do it. Gary Vee, for instance, offers a social media agency in New York City. They do 420 pieces of content a day, but they also sell that to companies as well. So of course they're going to suggest doing that as a way of growing, because they want the top corporate brands to do the same. But the real question comes down to, is that actually what you're going to do to grow your business? I don't think so. I don't have the time. I wouldn't recommend it either. Next, the spam trap. Outreach without strategy equals noise. This is so common. Now, who here has received a copy-paste pitch? And I'll open this chat here really quickly. Type 2 in the chat if you know you've received a message on LinkedIn where you know the other person copy-pasted and then pitched you straight away. And it felt terrible. You probably ignored it, because 99% of people get ignored. But you probably got pitched a product that you had no consideration, no reason to even get the message, and they wasted their time. Great, I can see you guys. I know how bad LinkedIn's got, especially since the pandemic. If you don't mind me, a soft little plug here. Next time you get one of those messages, send them this. Next workshop. Thanks. Anyway, carrying on. You might be thinking, so what else am I supposed to do to reach people? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay, so the real secret behind this is just understanding that these things you're seeing and being told, they're not entirely true, and they're not for your success. I'm willing to admit that. We don't offer these things. We don't show you these methods. We don't recommend them, because we know how fickle they really are. That being said, the obvious question becomes, where do you get clients? Where do your clients actually come from? How do you find them? You see, in today's LinkedIn, it's really important you understand this today. Like, absolutely today. Understand this, if anything. You need to stop trying to create your own demand. That means you don't need to create your own audience. You don't need to create your own following anymore. You can start locating that demand that already exists. LinkedIn's been around for 23 years, okay? This is the most important thing to know. These communities, these other options exist. We don't need to grow a following anymore. It feels good, but it doesn't equal revenue. If that's your focus, keep on listening, because demand always leaves clues. To win clients on LinkedIn, you need this 4-part client system. One major benefit: this system needs to be built once and it can run for years. It's something to really understand. Now, it starts with prospects. It starts with finding demand, finding the people that we know are already interested in exactly what you have to sell. That's the most important part. Then and only then do we look to showcase your profile, your pages, your products, and how you can help them. Now, if you're not identifying who you're bringing in, how can you ever build a profile that speaks to those people? 99% of you here today would have built your profile, never looked at it since, and now started to add new people. It's not the right way to win clients. We need to understand who we're bringing in and then build a profile that speaks directly to them. More on that later. 3, we then need to introduce you. In my opinion, step 3 is the single most important part. Even if you're writing to average prospects and you can showcase your profile pretty good, if you introduce yourself with a pitch, you stand near to no chance. More importantly, if you don't look impressive and show that you're good at what you do and you seem like the best in your field, LinkedIn's uber competitive, okay? Everyone on here is the highest. I believe the smartest people on LinkedIn, the smartest people on the internet live on LinkedIn. So really keep that in mind to compare, if you're viewing your industry, what could you learn? And then lastly, we must be able to convert people into leads and clients. Now, there's a few specific ways on LinkedIn that we can create what's called a ripple effect. This is where we direct people to one thing and it keeps benefiting you again and again and again. Now, let's start with prospects. Finding where demand already lives. It's the most important thing we could ever do today. I can't tell you or how many clients we work with where they tell us, hey, we're looking for this description of people, and we reflect that back on them to say, okay, well, how could we find that people on LinkedIn that already need what you do? And that's when the light bulbs go off, because that is what most people never consider. You see, if you're running your own LinkedIn, you've probably asked yourself this question: who should I message today? And if you have a VA or a person dedicated to your social, they've asked themselves this question: what should I do today? What should I post? Who should I message? Which always leads to messaging strangers. And every now and then it can work, which is why you keep trying to do it. But I'm telling you, it's not the way to win clients overall. And lastly, where are the people, and this is what I ask ultimately, is where are people already interested in the problems I solve? Could be we, could be us, but where could we find people that already need what we have to offer? Now, you can find them in LinkedIn groups, industry communities, online events, and even your competitors' audiences. You see, on LinkedIn, there's 6 ways to find clients that most people miss, and I'll run you through them very briefly now. Play 1. This is the place where we start with every single one of our clients. Cloning your best clients. Now, when I say cloning your best clients, I don't mean the ones you made the most money from. I mean the ones that you would take 10 more tomorrow and be the happiest to ever do the work for. And we know exactly what we're all saying here. We're all professionals. Everyone knows what I'm referring to, okay? Now, the key thing here, and this is a workshop, so I want you guys to be interactive here. The first thing I need you to do is identify your top 5 clients. Now, you don't have to do this now, but do this towards the end of the session. Really review your previous client list and understand who are your best 5 clients. Then we want to look for patterns. What do they share? Are they in the same industry? Are they the same size of company? Was there a point of contact, the person you dealt with, the same role? What can we look for in the sense of signals? And then how do we replicate that again and again and again to find exactly the same business and the same happy clients? Okay, and we did this for Sarah in Canada, who was running a marketing agency. And she said this: we came in wanting more LinkedIn leads. We left with a system that consistently put our best fit clients in front of us week after week. So if you're making content and you're not having the best possible fit clients coming in week after week, Could change your content alone. And this is the real secrets behind LinkedIn. See, it's the closest thing to a more of my favorite customers button I've ever used. Sarah, thank you so much for that review. That line is hilarious. Now, moving on. The second play. This is the hiring signal. We use this internally. Many of you might have even here today might have come from this. But if you've posted a LinkedIn job post, it's like a flare gun. Now, many of you are like, yeah, trust me, I know we got bombarded. But what I can share with you is in the last 60 days, something's changed on LinkedIn that's really made these impactful. Firstly, it's no longer public to everybody. There's a specific way to see job posts as they go live. The second is they're no longer free. For companies that want to make job posts in most parts of the world, it's no longer free. They are paying. Now, that means they have a real problem, a real budget, and more importantly, there's a real decision maker behind that. Now, before you share with me, James, I understand what you're saying, but they're looking to hire someone. That isn't true. Since the pandemic, LinkedIn has made another job post. It's called Find an Expert. Many of you might have come across these. 99% of you would have scrolled right past them and never looked at them. And they look like this. Okay, and I want to share with you a couple examples here of companies using this Find an Expert feature, which you should absolutely consider. I actually checked this morning. There's 2.9 million opportunities available right now this week, but I selected 3 of them just to share with you. Now, at the top, we have Pink Palm Puff. They're in the United States, but they're looking for a remote person or company to come in and help them with their social. The best part about this is they're looking to make a decision in the next week. They made this job post yesterday. They will make a decision in a week based on what LinkedIn say. So if you wrote into them with a very professional introduction and a very simple to understand method of how you could help them, they would probably consider it. And they'd probably consider it in the next 7 days. Now, if we move down to the middle tier, we have the SEO analyst. Now, Terakeet here, they're actually looking for someone that's remote. But what's fantastic about this approach is the customer actually sets a budget. Well, not customer, I guess, but the lead sets a budget. So Terakeet are setting aside $60,000 to $90,000 in the next year for an SEO analyst. So if you have a software tool or you're an SEO expert, you can come in and inquire to Terakeet to let them know how you can help. This is even better if your packages are in and around that budget, if not cheaper. But ultimately, you want to find a creative angle to give yourself the best possible chance, not just blend in with the crowd. And then lastly, we work with tons of accountants, so I wanted to share this here really briefly, but you can see that this is actually a local version of the same thing. They've set aside $55,000 to $70,000. They've made this job post 2 days ago. There's near to no competition, and more importantly, they're already reviewing the applicants that have applied. This, if you're a bookkeeper, is a gold mine, and we have tons of accountants utilizing this exact process every single month. You see, the trick is they have the problem, they have the budget, and there's a decision maker behind it that has to review it. That's all you need in most cases to find opportunities. Now, Jennifer, we implemented this system directly for her business. They've been doing it for the last 5 months. She says, as a business, our struggle was finding clients that could afford our packages. James and his team used the hiring method to identify a need and a budget for our services. Once we knew they had the need and could afford it, the rest fell into place. And that is a perfect description of exactly this technique, is they have the budget, they have the need, you can help them solve it. Nothing else matters. Great. Next, the referral shortcut. Your happiest clients' networks are often full of their clones. And this is the single most powerful method you can use on LinkedIn. You have the ability to create your own referrals. Now, there's 2 ways of doing it, which I would recommend to consider. The first is you deep dive into your happiest clients' networks and then ask them to introduce you to a specific company, similar to what you can see on screen with the example. Alternatively, what I prefer to do and what many of our clients prefer to do is create what is called a happy coincidence. This is where we don't mention it, we don't ask the client, and we dive into who they know. Now, we don't mention them in any messaging, but we just simply introduce ourselves very subtly to people that know our happiest clients. For instance, we might want to showcase the person they actually know. Maybe we share their case study in a post once we've connected with tons of their followers. You can imagine how that now resonates with somebody that you know in real life. And you can see here, Marcus, we did this, and Marcus is such a funny character and great business, but he shared with us one really big problem, which we're seeing more and more. Said pre-COVID, our business grew through in-person events and referrals. Post-pandemic, our industry changed. We had to actually start marketing. And I remember this on the call. He opened up the call saying, James, we've never marketed before. We need help. And it was a very interesting call. See, they contacted us and the goal was to create an online version of their referral system. The LinkedIn efforts are responsible for $320,000 in new revenue in the last 12 months. We cannot recommend his efforts enough. So just this one technique of simply a referral shortcut has generated Marcus $320,000. That's one tactic just in 12 months. That's immensely powerful. 4, and just to make sure I'm with everybody, everyone happy, everyone learning, everyone excited. If you have any questions throughout this process, please keep them towards the end. I know some of you might have written questions throughout this. I know how in depth this can be, but if you have any questions, please keep them to the end. We'll be sure to answer them in the Q&A because you might find that we answer them along the way. Play 4, the private club. LinkedIn groups are a members only club. Now, many of you will have never seen these before because they're invite only. And in some rare cases, you can request to join, but you have to be approved. So they're very difficult to get into. That being said, we know the perfect way. Now, everyone inside shares the same interests, the same problems. So when you reach out, nothing's cold anymore. It's actually like a warm conversation. You're already involved. And this one's very in-depth and best covered at another time. But you'll see a bit more about how we use this here shortly. David said, and he says it in the best form we can possibly find, unlocking private communities allowed us to find our ideal clients who already had an interest in our services. That's the best possible way you could word that. And it really does. And you'll see more on that in just a moment. The competitor shortcut. This is one of my favorites. If you've never done a deep dive on your competitors, you're really missing out on what you could possibly learn from them. You see, a lot of your competitors would have already done the heavy lifting. It's of course even more possible if they're further ahead than you are on LinkedIn. They might not be better, but they might know more about LinkedIn than you may for your industry. You see, we can review what's landing, their ads, their posts, who's engaging, who's in their network, who's buying, who's leaving them reviews, who's leaving them recommendations. You can start to get a really clear picture of who they're working with. And this allows us to make some smarter, faster, and tighter decisions so their experiments become your results. And we use this technique with Priya. You can see here that we helped them deep dive 2 of their competitors, and she said that it was worth 10x the investment alone, just the deep dive, because that gave them the starting point they needed. This you must consider at the beginning. And even if you're not at the beginning of your LinkedIn journey, if you've never done it, I'd consider you at the beginning because you'll be blown away by what's possible with this. Now, the local advantage. People do business with people nearby. I'm a very strong believer in that. That's why in-person networking events are fantastic. You show up, everyone's there for the same reason, you get to meet under this unique circumstance, and everything feels real, trusted, and safe. Now, people do business with people nearby because they're in the same city, the same coffee shops, and instant familiarity. You see, local connections reply faster, they book calls quicker, and they say yes to coffee. Now, I used the coffee example because of what Tom had to say. We absolutely crushed it with them back in 2023. Now, he said, we sold nationwide, but James suggested starting local. For every one of you here today, I'd recommend a local campaign just as much as a global one, assuming your business allows it. You can see they booked 14 calls in 7 days. That's 2 calls a day, and they never knew how much demand they would have had locally. They'd never tried. Now they host a weekly coffee meet in Oklahoma City, and this has become one of the key ways their business grows, all from a local LinkedIn campaign. Really powerful stuff, something to definitely consider. And just to share, of course, and many of you all know this, we only have an hour today, so I'm only able to share with you 6 examples, but we've worked with over 350 brands implementing these techniques and tactics, so you'll be sure to see more of these at a later date. But before we move on, just out of those 6 plays, I know we got really in depth there, so just want to take a moment to open the chat here and engage with you guys and make sure that you're understanding, a bit more about what we're referring to here. So, and I know how much this can be to take in, and you're probably quite surprised by a lot of this. But first and foremost, all I would like to ask is drop a number in the chat based on the examples you just saw. Which of these you would like to maybe use? So type 1 in the chat if you think cloning your best clients makes sense. You take your happiest clients and you find more of those that are similar, because then you can reflect the reviews and testimonials you have to tell the new people. 2, finding, hiring signals, finding those private job posts, finding companies that have the problem right now today and a budget to fix it. Do you think you could get business through that? 3, referral shortcut, diving into your current happy clients network, seeing who they know, getting your clients to refer you, or even referring yourself through a happy coincidence. Just to share, more than 25% of you are here today from knowing one of our clients. And you'll be sure to see, you'll see probably 1 or 2 of them on screen here in a second. 4, private club, right? Is this something where you'd like private access? This is great for interest-based businesses or localized-based businesses as well. Something around a specific subject matter that's really hard to identify. Number 4 is for you. Type 5 in the chat if competitor shortcuts the one for you. You want to deep dive your competitors, understand them in more depth. And 6, the local advantage. Would you want to run a local campaign to see what opportunities could exist in your city, in your state, potentially even in your country? Great. It's amazing to see what you guys typing in. Now, just to share, all of these are possible, but we strongly recommend to test all, review the data before launching, and allow the data to decide. For instance, we can learn a lot about a local campaign and how much potential demand you have just by finding the data. So you don't have to do any guesswork on LinkedIn. We can review the options, see what makes sense for your business, and then implement what makes sense. This allows you to save thousands compared to other platforms. This is where LinkedIn really shines. Now, moving on to step 2, showcase. But finding them only matters if your profile converts, right? You see, finding the right types of prospects is fantastic, but if your profile doesn't speak to them, it's useless. For instance, if you find people that like apples and you're trying to sell watermelons, it's not going to work. We all know this, but for some reason on LinkedIn, people skip this step. Now, let me jump back here just to the previous slide. If you were working, let's say you're launching a local campaign, like number 6, it's the easiest one to understand. If your profile, if you knew for the next 3 months, only people in your city that could potentially be interested in working with you were going to join your network, do you think it would make sense to change your profile to make it a local based expert? I think that makes quite a lot of sense for a lot of us, right? Now, likewise, for instance, if you're going to do cloning of your best clients or even referrals, you're going to want to make sure that the case study of the individual you use as your happy client is front and center. That way you immediately build trust with people that are considering joining your network because you're already showcased you've done it for someone they know, right? Now, these are the depths we dive into, and these are the differences that you're probably realizing on how you can win clients on LinkedIn. Now, something to understand, more than 50% of prospects will view your profile before replying. This is people in your network, outside of your network, and that see your content. 50% of the people that tend to respond view your profile first. It's the same with commenting, by the way. People don't feel comfortable just commenting on a post. They actually see who you are before they comment to see if they even want to engage, because of all these things are public. And something I can show you just here on screen is if you've never received a message like the one you can see here, your profile needs work. If you've never got an inbound lead on LinkedIn just based from your profile needs work. So this message reads, "Hi James, just came across your profile. We've been looking into getting clients for some time. Can you tell me more about how you can help?" I'm going to open the chat here really quickly. Just type 1 in the chat. If you received a message like that, do you think your business would grow? Not 1, but let's say you got 25 in the next month. Do you think you could manage that conversation to show them how you could help them, to see if they're interested? Great. I can see you guys typing. Great. Fantastic. Now, if you've never received this, your profile needs improvement. So please focus very heavily on the next set of slides. Now, to reframe, the old way of doing LinkedIn is a resume about your past. I call this the boring resume. Okay, the new way of winning clients on LinkedIn is turning this into a landing page, but it must speak to the people that we're bringing in. Without that, it's just a generic landing page. We need this to be directly based for exactly who needs it. Now, most of your profiles look like this. Now, some of you will have cover images, but I took these this morning. These are people, even in my network. Of course, I've blurred them out for the sake of it, but they're generic, forgettable, and invisible. And just to share, I have written them to improve their profiles for free. Don't worry. I didn't want to pick on anybody, but you can see they haven't uploaded. They have very large followings. Both have over 500 connections, right? So they're well established and by no means brand new, but they have no cover image. And their descriptions of their profile don't tell anybody anything. Like, for instance, the one on the right says, helping small businesses grow with AI. Well, what type of businesses? A lot of businesses are small. And then what type of AI? Is it like audio? Is it video production? Is it ChatGPT? Is it website building? Where is the context, right? So, and this is what's extremely important when we see with LinkedIn. Much like Alex Hormozi says, you need to be a product of one. Your profile needs to not be comparable to anybody else. Because if there are thousands of people offering to help small businesses with AI right now. So that's something to really think about. That saying is great to get some interest, but it doesn't tell them how you help. And put yourself in the shoes of the people viewing your profile. Or better yet, ask a team member, ask someone, a friend, a colleague, a family member, somebody that you know doesn't know about your business. Ask them to glimpse your profile, either on your phone or on a computer. Give them 10 seconds, 10 solid seconds. Take the phone away, remove the screen, and ask them to repeat to you, what do you do? Because if they can't communicate what you do, it's not working. Okay, and this is from a survey we did in 2023, but we asked over 2,000 people, what were the 3 questions that you asked yourself when viewing someone's profile? Now, they read the very first question, and the number one question by a mile was, could they help us? Which was really fascinating to me. So people were going to people's LinkedIn profile to see if they could help them. What a positive sign for this platform, right? They wasn't going in it to like, oh, what's in it for me? They're going there to say, could you help us? That's fantastic. 2, will I get value from this person? That was fascinating as well. When I remember this, I was like, okay, we need to start making adjustments to profiles across the board. Like, this really needs to show people how they can benefit from being in our network. And then lastly, does my network get better with them in it? Literally, all 3, can you help us? Will I get value? Does my life get better with them in it? All 3 of them are looking for like assistance almost, which is great. We just need to give that to them. Now, when your profile lands, they should instantly think, this person understands my problem. Or even better, this person must be good. I want to share with you a couple client examples of clear standouts that you just know from arrival that they are good at what they do. Now, Jonathan Vasquez, we work with him for well over a year. He helps first responders and public servants in Miami with financial planning. Okay, so very niche, very specific, but you cannot compare his profile to anyone because he's telling you 2 different things very clearly on who he helps. Now, there's 2 things to understand with LinkedIn. You can control your audience based on who you add. Now, if you do content, you can't control that entirely. So he has 2 forms of campaigns running at the same time. He has an entire messaging, connection request. That whole process is running automated for him, where he is connecting with first responders and public servants in Miami. So it makes perfect sense as to why they would add him. But he also runs content. So you can see in his cover image, whilst it looks very professional, exactly what you would expect to see from a financial planner, he's also guiding them to click the bell and also DM him planning. So we can start to learn what content is starting to resonate with people because he's just trying to attract first responders and public servants. Now, something to keep in mind is when you know exactly who you're bringing in, you want to absolutely make your profile to speak to them. Don't worry about it not speaking to everyone. And this will make more sense than just on the next client example. But you really want to filter out the noise. You just want the decision makers in the industry that you help. So in Jonathan's case, specific niche, clear problem, clear call to action. It's exactly what you need to create for yourself. Next, we have Alvin, opposite side of the world in Germany. He helps 7-figure brick and mortar retailers create more time and freedom. That's what he does. That's what he specializes in. Now, he does have a YouTube channel, so a lot of his content is based around video, and that's where he's grown his 8,000 following from. So keep that in mind. But he's using a DM call to action to ensure that his content is guiding the right types of people. Now, super important to understand, he would not accept someone that's at a 6-figure stage. He's hyper qualifying people with 7-figure brick and mortar retailers. The only people they're going to DM him create are those people by design. He wants a specific outcome. He wants industry focus with a clear call to action. It's that simple. His videos do a great job of explaining what he does as well. Next, we have Steve. Steve is an absolute professional in his field. You can see that he is more of the expert rather than his profile. Despite it looks very professional, it really communicates his expertise. And your eyes naturally draw to who he is, which is exactly what you want to have happen in this space. He crushes it. He's absolutely fantastic. And you can see that he is focused on him. Now, in his case, he needs like less than 5 clients a year. So very long projects, very few customers. So he doesn't need people constantly DMing him. He doesn't need to create content. His business is very different. Now, here's the catch. The world's best profile won't help if the right people never see it. Now, even with the right people seeing it, right? So we find the right types of people. We build the profile that speaks to them. All of that is useless if we don't know how to start the right conversation. See, without pitching, without being ignored. Now, I just want to take a deep breath here because we're moving into stage 3. So I'd recommend you do the same. I know plenty of you will be taking notes. So just type 1 in the chat just to let me know that you're feeling good and you're ready to move on to the next step. I know how intense this can be. Okay, great. I can see you guys. Cool. So step 3, introduce. Now, in my opinion, this step and this part of the process is where everything either absolutely soars for success or falls flat. And it's your first impression, right? So many of you are here today. This will be your first impression. What we know, this here, what you see today is our first impression. And for many of you, I'd recommend to ensure that we build that with some strategy behind it. It also comes down to where you source the people from the beginning. That's why we do this first, because we know where they're going to be coming from. But most people get this wrong. You see, the old way on LinkedIn is to pitch first. You see many people still doing this and it's not working anymore. Cold DMs with a sales pitch doesn't work. 99% get ignored. They lead with what they sell. Well, ask yourself, how many times have you been messaged on LinkedIn with a pitch and how many times have you bought that straight away? Very unlikely. 3, they hope you say yes. Like that is what people are doing there. It's like, oh, it's a numbers game. It isn't. It needs to be much better than that. And as I said, 99% of people get ignored. Now, the new way is to qualify first. Open with a valuable question. Let them self-identify as a buyer. Only engage with the people that are qualified, not just by job role, but by decision, by who they are, what industry. Be really strict, and conversations need to be natural. So let me ask you something. When you make a post on LinkedIn, how many impressions do you get compared to likes? Impressions, by the way, are views, just for anyone that doesn't know. So how many people do you think have to view your profile to get a like? How many, just in general from your following, how many would you say? Maybe 50, maybe 100, maybe 200. That's the reality for most people on LinkedIn right now. And, here's another example. If you run paid ads like we used to, the number we were always focused on is, how many people need to see my ad, see our ad to click, right? How many people? Because that's where it gets expensive. Now on LinkedIn, for whatever reason, people seem to skip this step and they just send outreach to everybody and say it's a numbers game. Well, LinkedIn's got very, very strict limits to what you can do monthly. So to make it actually work, you need to only message the interested people, the people that have qualified themselves, the people that you can qualify as well. And one of the methods that we use to introduce ourselves is surveys. Now, these are the least used feature on LinkedIn. I don't know why, because they are the single most powerful method on the platform. This is the easiest way to make strangers qualify themselves. For some of you, finding the prospects will be all you need from today to win clients. For some of you, changing your profile from a resume to a landing page will be all you need. Some of you will need it all, okay? This you could plug in immediately, generate booked calls, generate interested leads, and get people really understanding about your industry from these surveys, okay? They're unbelievably powerful. Now, a well-placed survey does three things, all in the time it takes to someone to vote, which is seconds. They read the question, they pick an answer, and they carry on with their day. But for you and your business, it's unbelievably powerful what these votes can mean. Firstly, we get to understand who cares. Now, from an interest-based perspective, this is vastly important. For instance, let me give you a quick example. If we have many clients that have many forms of providing different forms of like lead magnets. So maybe you're a reader, maybe you like podcasts, maybe you like courses, maybe you like reading a book. If I offer a podcast to someone that loves reading a book, they're never going to consider reading it. They're just going to let it be, thanks, never look at it again, right? Because people that like podcasts don't read in most cases, right? Like your form of community, your form of basically educating yourself on a new version is that. Okay, so some people like workshops, like today. Some people love reading a book. It's just how people are. But most importantly, we can understand who cares about the subject. Then what they think. What is their vote? What is their position on this question? And how do we reach them, right? Because this is now a warm DM. Once they've voted and they've engaged, we can now carry on the conversation privately. So let me show you what I mean when one of our clients ran one survey in one private community. Okay, and this is the real secret. It has to be a private community on LinkedIn. And just so you know, you can be in up to 80 groups at one time, and you can post hundreds of surveys a month if you chose. The result was 244 leads in 24 hours for a $3,000 Formula One driving experience. And you can see the exact survey here. As I promised all of you, I wouldn't be holding anything back on today's free session. And here's that exact survey for the first time we've ever showed one of these. Now on LinkedIn, there's very, very specific ways in which you can self-promote. And in private communities, it's very frowned upon. Okay, so you have to get creative. So with this question, we framed it as a fantasy-based question. Jules, if you were given the opportunity to drive a Formula One car, how much would you pay? Which seems very friendly. It doesn't feel salesy. Even this was approved inside the community because it was more of like a fantasy. But what I can share with you is the pricing options that we gave them were slightly more expensive than the real in life packages. I can tell some of your wheels are turning, and I'll type in the chat one if this is like an eye opener to you about what is a survey, how these can be used, right? Great. Okay, cool. I can see you guys. Now, something to understand: 244 people voted in 24 hours. But here's why it works. You see the right audience. We found the demand. We found the interest. We didn't go off and try and spend years building a following. We just simply entered a community. We got in, we were able to get accepted through some specific ways, and we got into this community. Now we know these Formula One enthusiasts love Formula One. So when we put in a poll about Formula One, of course it's going to resonate. But of course it's going to resonate for all the positive reasons. Now we got the right question in, right? We framed a sale as a vote on pricing, almost as if it was like a fantasy. It wasn't a pitch. It doesn't feel like that when you read it. That's why so many people voted. And then the most important part, which I cannot share with you today, just based on client privacy, as you can imagine, is the follow-up. This is the secret. Every person that voted the package pricing that they picked was more expensive than the real in-life packaging. So we wrote to each and every voter to provide them the details on how they could actually claim this experience for themselves. And it was amazing to watch their responses because it didn't feel cold. They were like blown away that it was even possible. And on top of that, it was even cheaper than they expected, which is a win-win-win for everybody. Now, that's one method to creating a conversation. Now, let me show you how to convert them at scale. Because one of the challenges with LinkedIn is once you have a survey such as the one you just saw, you have 244 conversations to start, which is very, very difficult. Now, automation is possible, and we can talk about that in the Q&A. But at this time, I want to share with you how you can convert these people into clients at scale. Because something I didn't share in the build-up is, from what most people miss, is each step of this system, they do work independently. But each step of this system feeds the next one. And this is what most people forget. Some of you have joined today, seen what you thought was the golden nugget you needed and have left. They won't be here to hear this next part. And this is where you should focus twice as much, okay? You see, the 4-step system I'm sharing with you actually helps each other. You see, when you find the perfect prospects and then you build a perfect page to speak to those people and you introduce them by qualifying them with surveys that live on your profile or even in private communities, you start to only ended up speaking to people that are qualified, interested, and see you as the expert to go to because you're doing everything an expert would. Who runs surveys for industries that aren't authorities? Right? This is why it's by the way, this is one of the reasons why it's the least used feature on LinkedIn. And then more importantly, we then use a secret technique, which is events, to turn them into clients. And I'm going to show you how. Now, the final method is events because it's the highest leverage move on LinkedIn. Now, with this is something to really understand. And this isn't possible for everyone, but the ones it is, this is where you go super sane. And many of you might even be here today from this exact process in place. You see, every survey vote equals an event invite. So we run events like this. You have the ability to run an event like this. You see, one survey, those 244 voters, they're all interested in doing this experience for that business. This could be for any businesses, and I'll share with you what we mean here in a second. Then we invite these people, the warm people that have already engaged, already approved, already the right types of people, and we invite them to an event, much like what you're here today. And then the events scale because it creates a ripple effect that nobody has told you before. You see, events do something surveys can't. When one attendee joins your event, their network see it. Their entire network see it. LinkedIn send a notification out. They make a feed post. They even send emails on behalf of LinkedIn to say that this person has joined this event. You might have seen a few of these, but I can tell you this is the real secret on LinkedIn. The real trick is you reach multiple people without lifting a finger. So we invite one person and their entire network see it. So if they have 1,000 connections, your event now has the potential of being seen by 1,000 people, which I can't tell you how powerful that is. Now, why events work better than anything else? You see, free reach. At the very first and most important thing, they send emails, notifications, and even posts on behalf of people that join. I can't tell you how powerful this is. It's the only platform on social that does this for free. 2, warm audience. The people that are seeing it know a new attendee. So what this means is, for instance, one of you joins my network. Let's say your name's Mark. So Mark, you join my event. Mark's network literally see on LinkedIn, Mark has joined this event without him even realizing. So now they're not being introduced to me based on just who is this person, who what they're offering. They're immediately met with, oh, well, Mark trusts them. Oh, I'll join. If Mark's willing to join, okay, I'll join as well. Boom. Now it ripples again and again and again and again. And this happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't stop, which is unbelievable. 3, built in follow-up, right? So with every person that joins an event, you get their email. So not only do you can write to them on LinkedIn, you can also write to them by email. Don't have to explain why that's valuable. And 4, the ripple effect, as I've just mentioned there. See, nothing else on LinkedIn or any other social media platform gives you all 4 of these at once at this price point. But most people here will try this once. They will register for they will create an event after this. They'll get excited, create an event. You'll get 3 registrations, 1 attendee, and you'll say events don't work. See, the problem isn't events don't work, because I can promise you they do. We've done plenty of them. It's the system around them. Okay, many people that join today simply get excited about one tactic. It might be, something we've shared earlier or something we're about to share, but something to really understand. An event isn't the strategy. It's the outcome of a strategy. It's the absolute final piece of the puzzle. See, what actually drives the results is the pre-event demand location, right? Finding the right communities of people to begin with, the prospects. 2, identifying those that are interested through, could be surveys, could be communities, these sorts of things. Qualified invitations, even us, we sent you the right message at the right time to the right person, and that's why you're here today. And 4, then creating a way to have LinkedIn benefit you and get that ripple effect of leads, calls, and clients. And in 2024, we actually documented this publicly to the power of this technique. And we generated 16,243 leads from one event. It actually built an entire new process of our business. And just so you know, we're not faking it. You can actually see that live on LinkedIn. It's still public to this day. We are number 2 on the platform. And many of you have probably realized this already. You're actually inside the system right now. Many of you have come from LinkedIn. We had over 950 people sign up for this very event, and many of you through Eventbrite as well. Just depends where you found us. Now, this isn't just for big brands. We've helped 350 brands running this system across every industry, from 50-person private dinner in-person events to 16,000 global campaigns. Now, what I can share with you is we've done this for brands like Oracle, we've done this for agencies, we've done this for SaaS, retail, consulting, healthcare, Alzheimer's, sales, hiring, marketing, motorsport, e-commerce, AI. So the motorsport one, you can actually see in the top right, the Formula One brand that I mentioned. We generated another 500 leads through an event for them. Took those 244 people that voted, invited everybody, generated 500 more leads. It was unbelievable. Kathy, top left, she's a headhunter. So she built her authority in her local community to be the go-to expert. We have demand gen, project management, financial planning, grants, literally non-profits, investor relations. Down in the middle there is Annie, just towards the bottom. In the center, she did a private dinner in Dubai for 50 people, which she sold out an entire year from one LinkedIn event. It's unbelievable. You can see, and listen, I can go on, agencies, ISO, real estate, email marketing, video production, retail tech, medical, sales, hiring, customer research, you name it, we've already proved it on LinkedIn. And I share that with you because you don't have to start where they did. They've helped you and you'll help the next. That's how we create win-wins on LinkedIn. But before we go any further, let's bring this all together. I know how impactful this session has been. You're going to be LinkedIn out for a moment, I know. And I do this because I want to share with you what's possible on LinkedIn. So let's do a quick recap. Remember, the 4 traps that you've probably made already or making right now that ideally need to stop pretty quickly. The visibility trap, being seen is not the same as being paid. So all of this attention going to like creating content or getting likes or trying to copy what other people are doing doesn't matter. 2, the DM trap. Conversations with curious people is not deals. Ensuring that before you respond, actually view that person's profile. Make sure that they're the right type of person that you're going to spend some time into. That way, if you spent twice as much time on the people that were genuinely decision makers, you probably have more clients. 3, content trap. Posting daily is not a lead generation strategy. It's also changing far too much in this day and age to where it makes sense. 1 minute it's short form video, next minute it's long form, next minute it's long form content. too difficult to get right, just leave it on the side. It's icing on the cake content. It's not going to change whether you get deals or not. And lastly, the outreach trap. Cold messages without intent get ignored. Almost all of you have tried this before. I know it. We see it. And of course, the 4-part system you can start running as early as tomorrow. Finding your right prospects, finding demand, showcasing your profile and your products to that specific audience to ensure that it makes sense to them. Creating professional and lasting first impressions with introductions. And then, of course, running events to scale your reach beyond what you could even do. And guess what? This system only needs to be built once, and it can run for years, and it can compound for years. You now know more than what 99% of people know about winning clients on LinkedIn. I know it's been a heavy 40 minutes. Whether you do something with this information is entirely up to you. But I hope you've enjoyed it so far. By no means are we done. But if I can get a yes in the chat if you've enjoyed this so far, I have a couple questions for you, so I'd appreciate your responses, and I'll open the chat here just so I can see you guys. Okay, great. Glad to hear you guys are liking it. Now, if you had this system running for you, if you were converting, cloning, if you were making referrals and using hiring signals, if you were introducing yourself with surveys, do you think you could convert more from LinkedIn? Great, okay? Interesting. If you had the prospects finding you and turning themselves into leads like you would get with an event, do you think your business would grow? I think so too. Great. And lastly, if there was a system that could help you implement this process quicker, would you want to see it? Interesting. Great. Well, I'm going to pass it over to Adam here, who's just going to introduce our 3 products and services to how you could implement this system directly for your business. I'm going to be back in just a few minutes for all of your questions. I'm sure you have plenty, so please prepare those and feel free to listen to Adam here for the next couple of minutes. Speak to you soon.
While James grabs a quick break, give me 2 minutes to walk you through your options. Here's why this matters. This LinkedIn system needs to be built just once. There's no annual fees, no ad spend, no ongoing expert costs, and your business benefits forever. What James just showed you is the tip of the iceberg. We had an hour. You're all on this call from different industries, selling different products. After working with hundreds of clients, the real magic happens when these tactics get tailored to your business. There's no one size fits all on LinkedIn. So it comes down to one decision. How fast do you want to start winning clients? If you're established and ready to implement, we have a solution that delivers fast. If you're starting out on a budget, we have an entry point at effectively 0 cost. We have 3 options for you to choose from. All win clients. Here's how it works. Option 1, the LinkedIn Growth Course, built for the person who says, just teach me the system, I'll implement it myself. You unlock instant access to 88 bite-sized lessons, the complete system. The same system that's generated 80,000 leads and over 4,000 booked calls. What do you unlock with it? Lifetime access, free updates forever. LinkedIn changes constantly. You now stay on the leading edge. Plus, you get a 2-month free trial of Sales Navigator worth $200 alone and a full money-back guarantee, normally $499. Today only, it's yours for $199. It's our slowest path, but cheapest price. Yours for life. Option 2, done with you, $1,499. For the person who says, I want to build it myself, but I don't want to waste 3 months going down the wrong path. You get the full course included, plus 6 one-to-one sessions directly with James, purely in the context of your business. He personally audits your profile, builds your bespoke strategy, and guides you through the implementation of this system. Our team only takes on a handful of these each month, so this is by application. Please use the link on the left to book a call. Option 3, done for you, $2,499. For the person who says, I just want this built, I'll handle the leads. James and the team build your entire LinkedIn system in 30 days. 2 hours of your time up front, that's it. Targeting, messaging, automation, custom surveys, event launch, competitor intel report, hiring opportunity report, all of it. You wake up to leads already in your inbox. And look, Here's why this option exists. You wouldn't take a few golf lessons and then expect to win the Masters next weekend. Same logic here. The course teaches you the swing. Done for you is James and his team playing the course for you. One of our recent one-to-one clients using this exact system generated $3.1 million in revenue in 6 months. Two more things. You no longer need Sales Navigator with this system. That's another $1,200 a year saved. And if you book your discovery call today, the full course is included free, so you and your team has a training resource forever. This is by application only. James personally vets every client. Please click the Discover More button on the left to pick an option. James will be back in 60 seconds for Q&A.
I love to drive the highways.
Hey everyone, James Mason here, back again. Thank you for everyone that has attended. Of course, we'll be moving into the Q&A session now. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If you're in the process of booking a call or checking out with the course, feel free to continue that. We'll be on for plenty of time. And if you, of course, have any questions about our products, LinkedIn, any of the strategies that we've shared, feel free to put them in the chat now. Just to cover really briefly, we did ask plenty of you questions ahead of time in the build up to this over the last couple of weeks. So I will be bouncing back and forth between questions you've already asked, as well as questions you'll be having here in the chat. And also to let you know, we are live in 5 different locations. So I will be bouncing between multiple chats at all different times. Dan, you mentioned with option 2 and 3, is the payment upfront or payment plan? So there is payment upfront, but if you go ahead and write into us, feel free, we can always do something custom. So please book a call on the option, just use the click here button on the left. If you book a call, we can always chat and do something custom for you, assuming you're willing to be flexible as well. That being said, what I'm also going to do is now open the LinkedIn chat, as well as the YouTube chat, as well as the Demio chat. So I'll be jumping around here. So feel free to put your answers, your questions in the chat. So Liam says, if I sign up today, what is literally the first thing I should do tomorrow morning? Immediately start with the system, which will be started by finding your prospects. The goal is to find demand first, and then build a strategy around how you can implement that and get these people interested in exactly what you do. Mark says, what's the real difference between the course and the mentorship? How do I know which one I need? Oh, great question, Mark. So the course very much teaches you exactly how to swing. Okay, so with that in mind, oh, Adam, I can see you're looking for option 1. Yes, feel free to use this code in checkout if it hasn't loaded. Please let me know if you need that. Let me just jump back to Liam's question here. Fantastic. Yeah. So Mark, with the course and the mentorship, the way this works is the course is recorded. Okay. So you can go through the course at your own time. It's completely recorded. There's 88 lessons, and we're there to help you as and when we can. Now, the course is built in a screen sharing method. So this is great for following along and making sure you know what buttons to click. None of it is theory. But the Done With You package is where most of our clients start. And that's because you can ask us direct questions. We can start you immediately off without going down any wrong route, and we can really guide you through it. So it just depends, ultimately how self-motivated you are. If you buy this course, are you actually going to complete it? And these sorts of things as well. So we find our done with you option is indeed our most popular. Hannah says, can you explain the intent signals one more time? I want to make sure you understand what to look for. Well, Hannah, just to save the time of everybody else here, I will go ahead and share with you the recording. The intent signals, obviously, we spend a lot of time there, but the goal with those is to ensure that we, find people that are already interested through so many different ways. My personal favorite is job posts because they have the problem and the budget. And my second favorite is just creating more referrals. So many of you here today would recognize some of our happy clients. David says, what's the most impressive client result you've recently seen? We closed a deal for a client of $500,000 in 7 days. That case study is on our website. We don't promote it throughout the workshop, as you can imagine, because it does sound a little bit dreamy, but that is a real stat and a real deal that happened in the insurance space in the United States, more of a B2B insurance brand. So Sophie says, honestly, I won't have time to implement the course. How do your busiest clients make it work? Well, Sophie, I'd probably recommend the done with you in that case, unless you can hire a VA. One thing that we do with our course is we don't just restrict you to just you. You can add any team member to the course. So if you don't feel you can get through it, you could hand it to another team member. Otherwise, I'd recommend the done with you. We can literally get together at the beginning. We can build your entire strategy together. And this is going to allow you to start without having to go through the learning curve of maybe even going down the wrong route for a few months. And this will drastically save you time, energy, and money. Raj says, if I want to talk to you or your team, which option best for my business? How do I do that? Raj, we do offer one-to-one, so feel free to either book a call and just let us know in the chat, in the questions that you want to book a one-to-one. We can do that. Not what we can do as well is send you an email. Emma says, I'm not a confident writer. Will I still be able to do this properly? Of course. If you're not a confident writer, Emma, I wouldn't recommend sending messages. What I would recommend to do is send stuff by video. And that's becoming more and more unique. We can also even automate voice notes. So that is something that people are starting to use and see. And I think you'll find that it will be incredibly impactful for you. And of course, allow you to shine rather than potentially harm yourself in the process. Tom says, do I need Sales Navigator or is the free version good enough to get going? Tom, you don't need Sales Navigator at all. What I'd recommend to do is maybe start with our course. And this is actually going to show you everything inside of Sales Navigator, how you could use it, how you could break it down. So for the $199 that the course costs, you're also going to get 2 months free. So it's effectively zero cost. So if you choose to go with our course today, it is quite literally a no-brainer. Even if the course is not for you, we offer a lifetime money-back guarantee, and you still get to keep the discount of SalesNav. So it is literally a no-brainer as a starting point. Aisha says, do you have a guarantee or refund policy if it doesn't work for me? Of course we do. So we have a 100% money-back guarantee, and feel free to review each product. And of course, Aisha, if you book a call, we can chat about it and we can show you our full guarantee policy. And then, of course, if you're buying the course, it is displayed on the page. So feel free to check that out there if you would like. Daniel says, I've been burned by gurus in the past. What makes your program different? Well, Daniel, I think we've done a pretty fair job over the years of showcasing that we're don't do things that way. And ultimately what we do is we build this for you. So you keep everything. You're in full control the entire time. Every step of the way is approved by you. And it's very much a collaboration, no matter the option you pick. And we have very happy clients for that reason. Chloe says, can you share a story of someone who went from zero to consistent clients using this? Yes, we have a case study available on the site, Chloe. It's with Raid, who built a Saudi Arabia-based, it's kind of like a green community in which they are now running a foundation on. So they quite literally went from zero, literally a brand new profile, to now having hundreds of new users inside of their foundation and community, etc., etc. So you can check that out and available on the site. Omar says, out of your 4 pillars, which one drives the most results in the first 30 days? Well, finding demand, truly. So the very first step would be your biggest potential route to start. And of course, the events can grow to a drastic scale. We've seen multiple clients generate 100+ leads in their first month when they just get the right event to the right people. And as you can imagine, it can gel very well. Guys, if you're in the Demio chat, I can see there's plenty of you still here. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat there, just so you know where I'm answering these questions from is from YouTube as well as LinkedIn. We are live in multiple locations at the same time. Just depends where you're joining from. So feel free to ask any questions that you may have. It doesn't have to be about our products or services. It can be about LinkedIn itself and or any of the techniques and tactics we've shared with you throughout today. Okay, Laura says, if I'm time poor, does the done for you option mean you fully run the LinkedIn system for me? Yes. So we fully build it for you and we can fully prepare it for us up to 3 months. So this means that you won't have to look at LinkedIn other than responding to interested people for 3 months. What we also do as part of the done for you process is train you or your team how to also do this. That way you are completely self-sufficient if you would like, But Laura, if you're time poor, I totally understand. You can always bring us in as and when you need us. That is how we work with all of our clients long term. Chris says, my industry is quite niche and technically B2B. Does this work outside of marketing and coaching? Yeah, of course it does. Most of our clients don't offer marketing and don't offer coaching. So absolutely, Chris, feel free to book a call. Just use the click here button on the left side and you'll be directed to book a call. And yeah, I look forward to speaking with you. Marcus says, how does your approach compare to tools like Lemlist, Apollo, and Expandy? Is it instead of them or alongside? Marcus, great question. Just so you know, we are partnered with Lemlist. We're also partner with Expand. So you will actually see myself and our company featured across their websites for different techniques such as I've shared with you today. So we recommend them. Just depends on which tool's best suited to you and your company and how much time and team you have available to you. Grace says, is there a payment plan for the done with you tiers? Yes, Grace, there can be. We are very customizable to work with and very easy to work with. Feel free to book a call and we can kind of chat about what might look good for both of us. And naturally, what we typically do, Grace, is split the workload. So the work that we do, we can split it into 2 different tiers over an agreed period of time, and we can split it that way. Andrew says, isn't AI making cold outreach dead? Yes, which is why it's so easy to win clients when you put a little bit into how you find them, the messaging that you create. And Andrew, what I can share with you is it's actually become easier than ever to put just a little bit of effort and really shine with people on LinkedIn. In fact, you could probably remember the last person that put some effort in for you in which you actually responded to. Olivia says, what kind of ROI do your mentorship clients typically see? Well, a fantastic one, because we unlock the possibility of using LinkedIn and kind of driving it to its full force. And then, of course, you keep that forever. So you can run this for years and years and years. And we have clients still running the same system we built them 4 to 5 years ago. It's just the way this process works. Paul says, how do you build demand circles if you're starting with no existing audience? Paul, great question. I would watch the replay of this. It looks like maybe you joined a little bit late, but the most important thing these days in LinkedIn is to not create your own audience anymore. It's simply to unlock the ability to get in front of them. And I can share with you in multiple ways how we do that. Feel free to watch the replay. If not, feel free to check out the course and you can go ahead and explore everything that's available in there. There is 88 lessons showing you how to do exactly that. Rachel says, what does a typical week look like time-wise once the system is running? Great question, Rachel. So this doesn't matter how it's built. So if you do the course, no problem. If you do the full done for you service, you're going to need typically a few hours a week just to manage it. So you probably spend more than a few hours on LinkedIn a week currently, even if you're not tracking it. So this will be just a few hours a week to manage, to make sure the system's running, but more importantly, to manage the interested replies that you're getting, actually speaking with the people that are wanting to know more. Most of you can set that time aside, especially when it's with interested people. Hassan says, can you break down what's actually included with the Done With You program versus the Done For You program? Of course I can. So with our Done With You program, this is a hybrid model, right? So you get the full course, but you get 6 one-to-one sessions with me. So this is where we dive into your business directly and we give you live feedback and live direct process and strategy, and we kind of lay out your entire plan to succeed in winning clients on LinkedIn. Now, the great part about this is you also get access to those 6 sessions over 12 months. So there's no rush to this. There's no set schedule. You can't miss a session. We can always reschedule them. So these things are something to really consider. Now, the Done For You package includes everything you see on screen, except we build it for you. So we get together. We typically need roughly 2 hours of your time and to complete a form. Once we have that form, we can go off and find the people for you, completely implement a strategy that you approve, and launch with your approval. Then we show you exactly what we did, how so you can do it again and again. And more importantly, we're there to support you long term with those 6 sessions. So if you're interested in either of those, feel free to book a call on the left-hand side using the click here button. You'll see very quickly that you can simply book a call. Fantastic. So Lucy says, for someone who wants to try this themselves first, what's the one thing I should focus on in the next 30 days? Lucy, simply start by finding demand, finding the people that need what you want. That's the very beginning. So once you unlock that, everything else seems to fall into place. Now, I'd recommend using the course and just slowly getting your way through the lessons, because on LinkedIn, it's hyper competitive. Okay, so if you're not appearing like an authority figure in your space, or it's not speaking directly to the people that are seeing your profile, you will struggle. So I'd highly recommend getting the course as well. You will also get a free 2-month trial of SalesNav, which will give you everything you need to get going. Nathan says, can we book a call with you personally before deciding, or is that through your team? Nathan, I will personally take your call. We do have other team members that do take calls, but if you book a call using the click here button, I will be sure to take your call directly. Sam says, do referral loops really work if I only have a handful of past clients? Yes, Sam. Even better when you know exactly who your clients are. So with this, what we would do is we would hand select the clients that you have had that you would like more of, and then we'd look to dive into who they know in real life. Now we can either ask them to refer us, which many of our clients do on the kind of a forward-facing approach, or what I prefer to do is create what I like to call as a happy coincidence. We don't sort of message our previous happy client. We just allow to create a process where naturally they go and ask our happy client, how was their experience with us? And assuming you have a very happy client on the other end, they now become a spokesperson for you, which I cannot share with you how powerful that is. Maria, how long do I have access to the course material? For life, Maria. So if you purchase today, you have full access to life. It is updated every month. So everything is up to date and you get access to life. Gareth says, won't LinkedIn penalize me for doing too much outreach? Yes, that is a possibility. So be sure to, in the course and or with our own other services, we know the rules and we build it so you can't break them. So that's very, very important to understand, and it is available inside of our course. Jess says, how many of our clients actually stick with it and get results versus drop off? Well, Jess, the goal with us is to actually increase the chances of you sticking with it. The reason why we don't offer this on a monthly basis is simply to ensure that you can run this long term. Anne-Marie, what do results look like in the worst case scenario? I mean, in terms of ROI, are there businesses for which the system is not appropriate? Anne-Marie, absolutely. So if you're unsure by any means about any of these services, feel free to book a call. What we can do is if we can review your audience. So when you complete that questionnaire, when booking a call, this will allow us to understand your target audience. Now, if we're in any way in doubt that we've never targeted that audience before, then we actually do a deep dive beforehand. So this is a paid experience, but we simply credit it back directly to any of our packages. This is just perfect for that person that isn't sure. So when it comes down to who can't we work with, it's very simple. If you do not have clients on LinkedIn, we cannot help you. And we don't look to work with anybody, which is why we have an application process. So this simply means we make sure that we can find your prospects and your clients before we consider working with you. If we can't find them, we don't work together. Very, very simple. Hope that answers your question, Anne-Marie. Anna asks, you said you had 18,000 professionals use these techniques. Are those inside the course or from other webinars? Combination of both, Anna. We have plenty of track record, as you would have seen throughout this session. We've had one webinar alone have 16,000 professionals. We've done plenty of these webinars over the years. So yes, they are inside the course as well as the webinars. Today was a free training, and obviously we have plenty of clients behind our paid trainings as well. Kevin says, what's included in the mentorship calls and how often do we meet? Great question, Kevin. So in the mentorship calls, it's completely custom. So you decide what you're stuck on. Naturally, if you or your team are implementing, you will have hurdles. So your mentorship call, when you book it, we ask you what are the things you want to learn and focus on. And then more importantly, you decide how often we meet. So it's not a set schedule. It's completely custom. You can open the calendar to book a call with one of our consultants at any time over the next 12 months, and we can speak with you directly. So feel free to book a call on the left side by clicking the click here button, and we can be sure to chat about how we can implement that for your service. Excellent. Fantastic. So Tanner says, how much does posting content actually matter versus direct outreach? Honestly, Tanner, posting content these days is just icing on the cake. So I really wouldn't put much effort there. It literally takes hundreds, if not thousands of pieces of content to convince somebody to buy. Now, what's much easier is just to find the people that are on the fence and ready to buy and just write to them directly and just make sure the timing is perfect. This is a great example of one of our coaching clients. They help CEOs kind of shine in their first 90 days of taking on a new role. So we literally identify all the new CEOs in their city and they message them the very next day. This is how you can create direct outreach with timing and with a little bit of strategy and a bit of effort up front. you will literally find it changes the game for LinkedIn. Greg says, for those still on the fence, what's the best next step right now? Well, Greg, probably best to start with one of our lower tier options. So whether that be our Done With You and or our course, you can always upgrade. You can't downgrade due to the nature of the way this product works, but you can always upgrade later. So why don't you start with the course, check out this. I know we've spent an hour together today, so maybe that's not enough for you to be convinced. Inside the 88 lessons, I'm sure you'll find that there'll be plenty in there that you could either implement, or you'll find that it's a bit overwhelming and we can help you implement that for sure. Lauren says, what happens after I buy? How quickly can I get started? Lauren, so depending on what package you're looking for and assuming we can help you, and what I mean by that is you're approved, we can get started as soon as next week. So we do have slots available. We only work with 10 clients at any given time. So please keep that in mind. So in some cases, there can be a waiting list. Patrick says, we're a small agency of 2 or 3 people doing outreach already. Can your mentorship help us systemize what we're already doing? Of course. You might even find, Patrick, that our course can do that alone for you. But more importantly, I would probably go with our Done With You package, because we can understand what you're doing and simply improve it. And I think you'll find that return on investment will be more than worth your time. Excellent. So Yasmin says, why should we trust you over doing this ourselves? Well, Yasmin, we offer services where you can do this on your own, as well as do it with our experience and expertise. What I can share with you is I've trained 18,000 professionals. We've also worked directly with over 400 brands at this point, and we are very trusted in this space. You can see that throughout our reputation, reviews, and testimonials throughout all platforms that we're on. So feel free to do that. I totally understand that you might be fresh and new, and I know this is our first impression. So please keep that in mind, and feel free to do your research on who we are and how we can help. Frank says, how fast can I realistically expect to see results from this? Well, Frank, if you can implement quickly, you can expect it to be even a few days. So, and what I mean by this, Frank, is if you were to, for instance, find job posts that were made today, and then you wrote into the decision makers, you might even get a response as early as tomorrow. And this is simply because that person on the other end wants that result. And this is how quickly you can genuinely implement these types of tactics. And when it comes to us implementing them all, it does take 30 days because we do a very heavy deep dive into how many of these techniques you could implement for your business. The more techniques and tactics, simply the more shots that you have of success. As you can imagine, that's typically how it works. Beth says, do you have a formula for creating a headline? We do. It's available inside of our course, the full profile optimization to make them look like any of our sort of client examples, as well as our own. All of it is available inside the course. Feel free to check that out. It's $199 whilst we're live. So feel free to take up that deal. It's a complete no-brainer because we're giving you 2 free months of Sales Nav, which is also worth $199. And you get to keep that even if you're not happy with a lifetime money-back guarantee. Adrian says, do you work with people outside the UK and US? I'm based elsewhere. Yeah, totally. Currently we have 3 or 4 clients inside of Australia and New Zealand, as well as we have even clients in China. So yes, we work with people all around the world. So yeah, no problem at all. Carmen says, why do you charge in USD? Well, Carmen, obviously it's the world's currency. If you need our packages in your own currency, we can indeed adjust them. And we can also even send you a contract in your own currency. That being said, it's the world currency, and most of the world understand what a US dollar is. And that's why we do it. We also work with plenty of US customers, which is also why we do it. Theo says, how do you handle prospects who say, send me an email and then ghost? That's been our biggest drop off this year. Great question. So send me an email probably means you didn't do a good enough job of identifying who they were at the beginning. This is basically like, hey, this sounds good, but it's not for us right now. And the reason they ghost is simply because it wasn't for them. Now, what I would highly recommend to do is spend more time on the prospects you're finding, not just using something like a sales nav, but diving into some type of signal to ensure that they're interested in what you have to do, so it feels timely for them. More on that, you can learn that in the course. Of course, if you want our help, feel free to book a call using the click here button on the left. Fantastic. So just to share, guys, we have about 6 or 7 more questions inside of LinkedIn, as well as sort of YouTube. So if you have any questions inside Demio, I can see plenty of you still here in the room. So feel free to ask any question that you may have when it comes to the techniques, the tactics, LinkedIn, your business. For instance, many of you might want to ask, have we worked in this industry, or have we found these clients before? Feel free to put who you target in the chat, and we can be sure to kind of address you and guide you to the right option for you. And I will carry on with the next questions. Naomi says, what's the biggest mistake you see people make on LinkedIn? Naomi, most people make a profile and then look to add people. And to succeed on LinkedIn in today's world, you really need to find the people. And then once you know who those people are that we're adding, build a profile that speaks to them. So in the workshop today, one of the examples I gave was if you found and you knew that over the next 12 weeks, that only your local area is going to see your profile, would it make sense to adjust your profile to like be a local expert or a company that specializes in your local area? Of course it would. So this is one of the things that we see people do, where just because it's generic and they kind of make a regular profile, it seems to blend in with the crowd. If you became a localized expert and someone in your local area sees you, they're very likely to want to have a chat, and it feels like they've just discovered you for the first time. And that's what you want to create on LinkedIn. Fantastic. So I can see here, Dom says, are spots limited for the done for you? I don't want to sign up and wait 3 months. Yes, Dom, we are indeed limited. So we only work with 10 clients at any given time to ensure that everybody gets a fair amount of time. But more importantly, we're very, very in depth with our system build. So first and foremost, we do not accept clients that if there was a wait of 3 months, but we can agree a time on our call as to when it makes the most sense for you to get started and for us to implement with the correct amount of time to ensure that we can provide you the best results. Holly says, what's a realistic cost per call booked once the system is running properly? Holly, if you can share with me a bit more about your audience, maybe I can guide you a little bit better. But ultimately, one of the things that we focus on is you don't just want to book discovery calls necessarily, we want to book qualified calls. So when it comes to the cost per call, just to share, this system has a cost on a monthly basis of $99. Most of our clients book 2 to 10 calls per month once we find the right message to the right people. Okay, so that is the trick. We don't hide that from you. Any form of marketing works the same. If we get the right message to the right people, you start to book plenty of calls. And also, Holly, what I would recommend to do is running a LinkedIn event. As today, we had over 900 people sign up for this event. That means we kind of hosted 900 sales presentations, which is kind of similar to a call, right? And these other people that have booked a call, they're just interested in our packages. So I'd highly recommend doing a combination of it all. Mike says, if I join the mentorship today, when is the next intake or cohort? Great question, Mike. So it's completely custom. So the moment you purchase, the moment you book a call and we chat, we can provide you a link to book a call, even whilst we're talking. You can review all the details, whether it be with us or without us. It's entirely up to you. And the moment you purchase, you get simply sent a form and a link to book your first call. We have availability across all of our consultants at all different times. You can pick when it's best suited to you. So the mentorship is one-to-one. It's not group coaching. It's completely one-to-one dedicated to you and your business to ensure that you get the most out of it. Fantastic. So just to let you guys know, we have a few more questions here. There'll be 3 to 5 more questions. So if you have any additional questions or you want to claim one of the deals that you see on screen, please be sure to click the click here button on the left side. Once we go offline, these deals will not be available at these prices. We genuinely run it that way, just to let everybody know and be very, very clear. We don't play games like other gurus online. Zoe says, how do I find prospects when people don't talk much publicly about their problems? Great question. So something like a business owner is struggling. Okay. So Zoe, this is a perfect example of where a poll actually makes perfect sense. So I'll share with you one of our other clients. Just this week has generated 1,400 leads from one survey, which will obviously we will be updating our course and of course this workshop to share with those examples, but they work in a very similar business. They help people manage stress. So if that's of interest to you, feel free to book a call. We can share with you that example. And we can of course implement this exact system for you and your business. But asking people a survey question like how do they manage stress, or if they're struggling with X or Y, this is a great way to very subtly start to ensure that you speak to people that are interested. Elena says, what's your honest take? Who should not buy a program? Great question, Elena. So this was kind of asked earlier. Simply do not buy one of our packages if you do not know if your clients are on LinkedIn. So if your clients are on LinkedIn, and I can assure you there's over a billion users these days, so I can assure you they probably are. But if you're unsure in any way, feel free to drop us an email or respond to one of our emails, and we can get right back to you to ensure that we can help you further. Steve says, if there was one thing you'd tell someone who's still undecided, what would it be? Great question. So I would start with one of our lower tiers. And the reason for that, Steve, is you can always upgrade later. You cannot downgrade. So I would jump into the course, review some of the 88 lessons on the things you'd like to implement. If you find it's overwhelming, can simply consider one of our other packages and we can help you implement. Great question. Mia, nice to hear from you. So may I send an email directly to James? My question does not fit. Yeah, totally. So feel free to email this email here, Mia, and the team will direct it directly to my inbox and I will respond to you after the chat. So likewise, if anyone in the chat has a question that's more private, feel free to email that chat and the team will pass it through to me and I'll be sure to respond to you directly. Sorry, Claire says, what separates the clients who win big from the ones who don't? Claire, from our experience, the clients that know exactly who they can help are the ones that win big. So having a very, very strict, very, very clear understanding of who you help and why is the difference maker. One of our best clients, one of the case studies I mentioned throughout this Q&A, was a client that was in the B2B insurance space who knew exactly the company size, exactly the city in which he can save them a ton of money, which is how we were able to close a deal of $500,000 inside 7 days of starting because of how clear they knew exactly who they wanted to work with, which made our job quite easy in finding those people and just picking a route in which impresses them to get the conversation started. For most of you, you will find that is all you need to do. Thanks, Anne-Marie. Great call. Thank you. I appreciate that. I look forward to the potential of working with you here in the near future. And feel free to look out for our additional bonuses, which we send out by email to you over the next few days. Nicole, what's the one question we should be asking that nobody asked yet? How do I find demand? That is the number one question we see people completely skip. They never consider. And that is the absolute difference maker on LinkedIn. You no longer need to build your own audience. You don't need thousands of followers, and you simply need to unlock demand. You could do that with a brand new profile with the right techniques and tactics, which is what we teach. So with that, without further ado, to everyone here that is listening, thank you very much for signing up and joining today's free session. The offers on screen will be available for a few more minutes. And if you're watching the recording, feel free to email and or use the link that we have provided to claim those. That being said, thank you all for joining. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to working with the ones that have booked a call, as well as if you've got the course, I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Speak to you soon.